to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by
me, Rob. Let's get Drew's show on the road because he's got to get ready.
I got. I'm finishing packing up tonight, actually, so I can go to the game this weekend here. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm actually debating on doing something that might turn some heads. I have something that I'm plotting. We'll say plotting.
Are you bringing my plane down there?
I don't think you have a plane, sir.
That's what you think.
Unless you're calling a paper airplane a plane. It's technically a plane, I guess. You're muted. I don't know what happened. We lost you, Rob. Yep, you're gone.
What about now?
Now you're back. There you go.
I think you muted because you're making fun of my paper airplane.
I was not making fun of your paper airplane. It's a spectacular paper airplane you have, okay?
It's got tipped wings and everything.
Lovely banner.
Yeah. Bullet bill is on it.
All righty, guys. Well, we got a lot of news to go over here with you guys today. We have apparently the Giants are now calling content creators to cry little babies. We have Michael Penix starting for the first time ever against the Giants. We got Drew Lock coming back to start against for the Giants there. We got Dion talking about if he's okay with Shedeur Sanders coming to New York. Guess what, guys? You might like the answer. And I'm going to talk about a guy named Jim Harbaugh. We almost had as a coach somehow, which seems like a little crazy there. We're also talking about, should we draft Travis Hunter? That's been a topic coming up again there. And, of course, we're going to give you guys our picks here for the game tomorrow night there. So let's get right into it with the very first topic. And this is a very sad topic for us, guys. The Giants are accused, we'll put it that way. I wasn't there for the conversation, so we'll say accused to keep us out of legal trouble. Accused of literally calling up the guys at Talkin Giants, Bobby Skinner, Justin Penik. Definitely friends of the show. We got a lot of respect for their program. To be honest, they're bigger than us. They're probably the biggest Giants podcast there is, to the best of my knowledge. Bobby's been on our show before. They've had us on their show before. I've been on a show with Justin before both of us as guests. Our paths have crossed a few times. I'll put it that way. Again, they do a great show. They give you a very informative show. It's entertaining.
Yep,
and it's
content.
Also not just bashing blindly like some shows do. And I admit it freely that sometimes we get that way because we're just so damn frustrated as Giants fans. They come at it as much as they do crazy things sometimes with very much like, this is what we should do. This is why we should do it. So they did a segment on that the Giants should fire Joe Schoen. Apparently the Giants were so displeased by it that they said the head of PR is what they said on the program. Now they did mention Pat Hanlon separately, but they never said Pat Hanlon specifically was the guy who called them. So I don't want to put words in their mouth that are misleading in any way, shape, or form, but maybe it was him. He's technically the VP of Communications, I think is his job title with the Giants there. So, it's definitely his department either way. I'll put it that way. But yeah, they called him up and basically said, stop doing that kind of content. And if you don't stop doing that kind of content, we're not going to help you anymore. That's a really, really bad thing, guys. I of all the things the Giants have done, and not just because Rob and I are content creators as well, we want to support our fellow content creators. That is probably one of the most disgraceful things I've ever heard the Giants do in all my years as a Giant fan.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's literally suppression of the media. If you don't want us to talk about firing your people, guys, put a better product in the field. That's the way we shut up and stop talking about that topic. And listen, I won't pretend to have listened to that particular episode. Unfortunately, just being the life of a content creator, we don't get to listen to every episode of every program we do like because we're making our own content and setting up things for our own content and all that kind of fun stuff there. But I've never once heard Bobby or Justin talk about a person as an individual. And we've walked that line in this show even before. Like I said, point blank, Joe Schoen came off as a pompous jerk on the Hard Knocks. I said that, just for the record. Again, I said it, not them. They've never done something like that. They've just been like, listen, the product in the field is not good. You've been the GM for 3 years. We got a new quarterback coming in. It's time to rebuild fresh and new. You know, they went more that approach from everything I've heard. So there's no reason for the Giants to call them up like that. No reason at all. And it's a bad move. Really bad move.
Well, it's really striking a nerve, too. It shows you, like, how much – it kind of puts them right on the wall, if you will. Because, like, if you're talking about keeping your head coach and one of your number one content creators is calling for the firing of him and the general manager, like, you're looking to keep him, it's probably not a good look.
Yeah.
And it's going to upset a lot of fans.
As Deb says, I watched that episode. It was very well done. I can't believe the Giants did that. Exactly, because I know Deb.
Even the rebuttal.
Deb in the comments, actually, when I'm in watching them as well. So, yeah, I know she watches them as well. Again, great guys. If you guys don't listen, go ahead and like, subscribe to them as well, because, again, they do great content. They really do. In fact, it's funny enough, when Rob and I were starting our show, we had said this was a show, not that we want to, like, do what they do, obviously, but it was like in that realm of shows. Like it should be entertaining, not just here's my facts, here's my opinion, let's move on to the next topic. Like, so, like, I'm not going to name particular shows, but there's a lot of shows out there that do that kind of stuff. And
yeah, let's have a little fun with
it. Exactly, have a little fun. But like I said, I think that you know, it's absolutely ridiculous for a NFL organization to call. And listen, they do it with the press all the time. If people don't think that, let me be very, very clear. They do that with the press all the time when you are a smaller member of the press. That's why when you look at the guys who are the most, I don't want to say anti-Giant, but the most negative about the Giants, it's guys like Pat Leonard, Jordan Raanan, guys that work for the bigger stuff that you're not going to get rid of. You're not going to get rid of the New York papers. You're not going to get rid of ESPN. But let's say I went there. Let's say hypothetically, and listen, I live in Florida. Obviously, I'm not going there anytime soon. But let's say hypothetically, I got credentialed. I go into the press conference. I'm there with Coach Dable, and I'm asking questions that they don't like. They would say something potentially, and this happens in every single team. We'd be very clear, not just the Giants. Yeah. They would say, "Listen, we don't like the way this question was." Blah, 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 blah. And if you don't listen to their feedback, eventually they just take your credentials away. That is life as a NFL beat writer. But you cannot tell a content creator what they're going to do on their own damn program.
Yeah, it's not like they pay for that program.
Yeah, absolutely goddamn ridiculous. Like, you can't do that, you know? Yeah, and that's absolutely ridiculous. And Deb says there was nothing said out of line. I saw Bobby Skinner on the show, and that's when I started following him. Good. I'll tell Bobby that because they've helped us a lot. Listen, Bobby, actually, I'll take as a little side note. I've talked about this when we had Bobby on the show there as well. But when we first started looking at doing this, I was on another podcast, and I reached out to a few people whose shows I enjoy and said, hey, really like your show. Do me a favor. If you get the chance, here's a link to a show I was on as a guest. I'd love to get your feedback. I'm thinking of starting a podcast up. Bobby Skinner was the only one who took the time to listen to the show and give me feedback. The only one. I'm not going to name who didn't. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But I want to give that kind of kudos to show that's the kind of person that he is. So we're going to stand with Talkin Giants and point blank condemn the fact that the Giants feel they can do that kind of stuff. It's absolutely goddamn ridiculous. Put your big boy pants on.
Yeah, put some better products on the
Go
field.
ahead and put a better product out there, or deal with the consequences. Like, it's almost like, and I don't want to say like that we're like we, and I mean like we, like me and Rob. I mean what we as content creators, fans, whatever the hell title you want to give us at that point. It's not like we're the bosses of the Giants. But I'm going to put it this analogy. If you suck at your job and your boss comes at you saying you suck at your job, you don't got much of a leg to stand on.
No. But if I go into your place of business, Drew, and tell one of your employees that they suck at their job, they can tell me to go kick rocks.
They can. But not if they're outside in their home. Like, I wouldn't walk into your home and say, hey, you can't say that.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's the difference there. And like I said, it's absolutely cowardly, absolutely ridiculous, and it's a huge black eye in this organization. And what I can't believe, and I think it lends credence to the fact of what I said a minute ago, that it happens all the time with beat writers, this kind of stuff. If you Google it even, it doesn't even come up except for forum threads. None of the big writers are talking about this right now, guys. None of them. And if I'm wrong when I say that, feel free to put in the comments and correct me, because I love to give a shout out to somebody who has the balls to do that. Yeah,
the goofballs, if you will.
Yeah, because I did look to see. None of them did that I saw. And again, we're going to stand with content creators when they do good content, they do good things, and they get pooped on by the Giants, because that's ridiculous. Absolutely goddamn ridiculous. And they threatened, like I said, to not help them again. And Bob even said in the show the only thing that the Giants helped them with was they had some sponsorships that they wanted to make sure they can, go through with their, requirements. And when they went to the joint practices in Detroit with the Lions we had this offseason, they gave them media credentials, so that way they have a full table set up with a tent and everything, just in case, it rained or something. That way they can still, again, put out their stuff they had to put to fulfill their part of their deal with their sponsorship. And that was it.
Yeah, the bare minimum.
Yeah, and again, that wasn't them complaining. They weren't like, God damn it, this team should do more to help us. Like, they were just like, listen, this is the only thing we ever asked of them. They came through with it. We appreciate they came through with it. But it's not like they've done a ton, And Bobby said the same thing I said a minute ago, as Facty on the show. It's kind of where when we think of that as well, is that he also lives in Florida. So he's like, why do I want to be credentialed? I can't go. Yeah. I can't go anyway. Oh my gosh. But like I said, it's absolutely ridiculous. And again, when I just looked up, Talking Giants fire Joe Schoen, which is what I looked up, or Giants call Talkin Giants. I searched both those things on Google. That should pull up articles for this. This should be a big damn story. It really should. And I would love for somebody to ask John Mara the question of if he's okay with his organization trying to quiet the content creators and fans of his team.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name any names, but there was a beat writer that had a show on YouTube that I asked them point blank in the comment section about this topic, and it got skipped. Like I said, this is definitely a hush job here.
Yeah,
shouldn't be a hush job. Shouldn't be. So we're gonna call it out. We're gonna call it out like we should. And like I said, we'll do that in support of the Talking Giants. And again, not that he asked me to do that or ask Rob, but we want to stand up for them. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, Bobby, we saw you. We saw the episode. We saw that wink, the goofball nod. We got you.
Yeah, like I said, it was fun, man. The show. They're good people. So
yeah.
All right, let's get off our negativity here and onto other negativities.
Ride a negative train.
So let's talk about what could have been. As Michael Penix is scheduled to make his first career NFL start against the New York Giants. Now,
it's a catch-22 for you.
Yeah. So those you guys who been watching, our show for the last year, when draft time was coming around, will know that we talked about it so often.
Ad nauseum.
About Michael Penix and how the Giants should take a good look at him. And we didn't see it in Hard Knocks. We talked to a lot of quarterbacks. We didn't really see much of Penix, except they met with him at the combine. And when it came time to it, Michael Penix was there. They took Malik Neighbors. Now, I'm not upset with the Neighbors pick. Don't get me wrong. But I still wonder what would have been with Michael Penix. I do. I got to admit it. I was huge on him. I was huge.
Yeah.
He's a Tampa guy, so he's local to where I live now. And like I said, I know he has some injury history to be younger, but he's had some great last couple seasons there in Washington. And even if it wasn't for an injury, a potential Heisman season in Indiana. Indiana doesn't get that. It's a basketball school.
Yeah.
So anyway, what really started this, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins absolutely has been Amber Herding like the football field was a bed, okay, and just been throwing poop everywhere.
Like, just not like little I'm 110-pound actress turds, like elephant dung.
110 pounds?
Amber Heard.
Got to be more than 110 pounds. You know, it reminds me of when you saying that. Thinking like a liar in her bra.
Yeah. Touche.
She's not the twig girl. I'm not saying she's fat. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that she's not the twig girl. But anyway, so this offseason, the Falcons signed Kirk Cousins to a 4-year, $180 million contract. This season, he's 3,508 yards, 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, guys. He threw 7 interceptions in the last 3 games, including 4 against the Chargers on the 1st of December. That's bad.
Really bad.
Now, the Falcons are 3-7 in games when Kirk Cousins throws a pick. The team is 7-7 overall. So they're 4-0 if the man just stops throwing at the wrong team. Not to be kind of a jerk about it, but I'm rewarding it the right way. I mean, that's the legit truth of the matter. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 games, and they're losing ground in the playoffs there pretty quickly. So they're currently 9th place in the NFC, and they're probably not going to get a wild card because right now you got the Packers and the Commanders to contend with, who are better teams than the Falcons. Where they're hoping is the division. The Bucks are the ones that are facing right now for that division. And they're only a 1-game spot behind, being tied record-wise with the Bucks. I don't know who the tiebreaker is. I don't look that far into it. And I think it probably would be the Falcons. If I remember correctly, they beat the Bucks both times they face each other. Cousins' interception percentage is 3.5%. So every 35 out of 35 every 1,000, I guess it'd be, times he throws the ball, it would be an interception. That's up from his usual 2.2%. His touchdown percentage is at 4%, down from his usual 5.1. So yeah, safe to say when you're throwing, 20% less touchdowns and you're throwing 1.5 times the interceptions, bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
So the only team they beat in that 5 games, by the way, is the Raiders on Monday. And they really didn't destroy them. That was a close game.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Hoping the Raiders would win. Come on, Raiders.
Yeah. Or at least across. At least cover the spread.
So anyway, the Falcons did obviously famously also go ahead and draft Penix 8th overall this draft. A move that, quite frankly, everybody, including us, was like, WTF? Because you just drafted, a guy who was an older rookie, and you went ahead and just paid a guy a shnikey load of money, and it made no sense. We felt bad for Michael Penix. We point blank said it, like, this is not a good spot for him. We feel bad. Now here he is getting a shot in his rookie year after all. He threw for 9,544 yards, 67 touchdowns, and 19 interceptions in his last 2 seasons at Washington. And listen, this is a great time for the Falcons to start a rookie quarterback. Honestly, they have the Giants. The Giants couldn't
all banged up.
Yeah, Giants couldn't stop a Pop Warner team right now. You got the Commanders, who their defense has been suspect this year. Then you got the Panthers, probably the third worst team in the NFL. Granted, they played better the last couple of weeks, but I'm still not buying it until it's been a little bit longer. I'll put it that way. So, it's a good stretch. That's a good 3 games to give Michael Penix a chance and see what you got. It gives you a chance to see what you got before the offseason hits. See if you need to go get another bridge quarterback, since your first bridge was apparently the London bridges and it's falling down.
London bridge is falling down.
So, again, you look at what's going on there, and it's just a little crazy here. But again, the Giants had the chance to get Michael Penix Jr. in this draft. There was definitely some people afterwards who thought the Giants should have gotten him over Neighbors. We didn't go that far, but we definitely said we wouldn't have been upset either if they had gotten Michael Penix with the 6th overall pick, which I know sounds a little crazy. A lot of people didn't think he'd go to the 2nd round, but he went 8th overall. So not so crazy after all.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, it'll be fun. I'm actually kind of looking forward to that part of the game. Again, because I'm going to that game. I get to be there at Michael Penix's first game ever in the NFL starting. If he becomes a really good quarterback in this league, that's what I can hang my hat on. I was there.
I was there for his first game. I called for him to be drafted.
I did multiple times.
Yeah.
We also have the other starter figured out for this game here. Drew Lock is to start here against the Falcons. Now, I'm not as excited to see him as I had to see Michael Penix, but we're going to see him. So he's missed the last 2 weeks with a heel and ankle issue. Head coach Brian Dable said that if DeVito clears concussion protocol, he'd be the team's primary backup. So that ends, that discussion there, I guess, at least for now. It is one of those things that we're going to find out, how healthy he is next day or two. But that's the expectation. They did leave that little bit of wiggle room in case he's not healthy. That's for sure. As Bradley Sands, I'll read this real quick because he says, just curious, can you guys read comments? Just asking because most streams don't read them. LOL. Yes, we can, and yes, we do. Now, typically, we'll pull them up occasionally during the show, but typically we'll do also just a segment at one point to go through all the comments. Because if you guys take the time to comment, we want to go ahead and read it, answer any questions at that point, because I it's our way of saying thank you for watching. And as long as we are one of the more medium podcasts, we have enough time to read them all, we'll do it. If we ever get big enough that we get like 10 per minute, maybe it's difficult. But for right now, for right now, we will always read any comments that we get there.
For the most part.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we got to talk about ending a topic that keeps coming up as well, because there is a topic that keeps on coming up that Rob and I have tried our hardest to say is B and S. When you put it together, it spells BS.
Bis.
But yeah, there has been a rumor going around that Deion Sanders would not want his son, Shedeur Sanders, to go to the New York Giants because he doesn't like New York. Now, I'll still say that he probably doesn't like New York. But yeah, in the end, he's perfectly fine with this. This is a great spot for his son to go to. Again, we've talked about it before. Young running back, young receiver, offensive line was better before they got hurt. You're going to have, at least something there to help him out on offense, not going to a barren wasteland like most one overall picks go. But what happened was he was on the Pac-Man Jones show, which is funny because I don't think we ever talked about the Pac-Man Jones show before. And this is twice now in the last week we've talked about Pac-Man Jones show. I never knew he had a show. I never did. Yeah. So here he is. But Shedeur says, I'm sorry, Deion says Shedeur is going to be the number 1 pick. And then later on, he says, the Giants are not going to give up that pick. I know that for a fact. Shedeur is going to be the number 1 pick. So what does that tell you guys? He doesn't care. He didn't say, I don't want him going there. He said, I know for a fact they won't trade the pick if they have it, and Shedeur is going to be the number 1 overall pick. That means either one of two things. Either somebody from the Giants told him or one of his people that the Giants would take him if he's available at number 1, and then be available at number 1. But if they were there at number 1, and they would go ahead and take him, or Deion's trying to hype up his son, which is fine. Listen, that's a father taking care of his
both.
kid. I have no problem with that. But let's be honest, the Sanders family loves the hype train, so he might not have been told a damn thing. And just him saying, "I know they're not trading that pick. My son's too good." He could be doing that kind of thing. Like I said, he loves the hype, and I get no hate for it, man. He doesn't hype in the the jerk way. He hypes in the just cocky because he really is that good way. Let's be honest. Greatest corner to ever walk this earth, at least that I've seen. Couple that with the fact that he went to 2 different schools now as a coach and has done very well, but he could have taken that opportunity to say no. He didn't. He took that opportunity to say, yeah, I know for a fact that the Giants have the 1-0 pick. My kid's going there. So for those of you who keep saying he'll only go to the Raiders, even though he's gone on Twitter before and said that's BS. Now he's on a podcast basically telling you that's BS. Can we end the BS?
No.
I've been hearing this all year long. Oh, Deion would never let Shador play in New York. Stop. Of course he would. That's marketability. The biggest market in this country. Of course he would. For that reason alone, he would do it. I'm telling you right now.
Show me the money.
Exactly. It's like having 10,000 NIL deals at once. All right. We got a couple more comments, but before we do that, let's go ahead and pay the bills real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and read some of those comments that we talked about before. We always like to read. So let's get into paying the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. Buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. So let's see. Start off with Dennis saying tickets being
Y'all got them tickets?
the conductor. And of course, I asked him if he had his own ticket there. Let's see here. Christopher Tony says, I knew it. Censoring what these beat writers say about the Giants. Oh, yeah. Like I said, there's no hidden on that. The beat writers probably won't admit it. The Giants probably won't admit it, but it's well known amongst circles. I'll put it that way there. Deb says, did they expose this on one of their shows? Again, talking about Talkin Giants. Yes, they did. I think it was Monday's show, if I remember correctly. I had to go back and watch it because I had heard something about it on Monday, but I didn't want to say it on the show until I knew for sure.
I think it was Tuesday morning.
Was it that? Okay, I knew it was around that time. Like I said, I had heard the rumors of it Monday. Again, I don't like to talk about things on the show unless we absolutely know it to be fact, because I don't want to speak out of turn, especially in this kind of topic, because then you kind of like make someone look like a jerk who's not. But
they may have came out with it late Monday night, but we were talking about it.
Either way, Monday, Tuesday don't matter. We do, but yes, it was on one of the shows there at that point. Deb says, I hope Penix balls out on Sunday. Yes, damn straight. I'm on full tank time. It's time. We're going for it. And Deb says, do the Falcons have a decent offensive line? They have not a bad offensive line. I mean, they do give up the 13th in sack percentage in the NFL, so it's not an excellent offensive line, but they do have a decent run game as well. So at worst, they're slightly above average. I'll put it that way. I mean, 13th in the league in sack percentage. Again, that's above average. There's 16 puts you at average, so not bad, but not great. Let's see here. Let's go here. So Bradley says, oh yeah, it was already debunked. Yeah, like you guys said, Deion already said he would love it. Exactly, but people keep talking about it. I don't know why. I swear it's almost like like the Raiders organization is paying people to keep bringing it up. Like, oh, he would love going there. Would love it. Bradley says, here. If Sanders drafts him and he wins the New York market and down the line wins the Super Bowl, he's going to be the most popular QB in America. I don't want to say the most popular QB in America if he wins a ring with the Giants, because let's be honest, Eli isn't nearly as popular. Wasn't nearly as popular when he played as he is now in retirement. In retirement, New Yorkers love him, and that's the thing I feel like I've always seen. Like, you can go to other sports even too. Like, look at guys like Don Mattingly is a good example. Like, Don Mattingly was like Mr. Yankee of the 80s, but he never won the ring. I feel like didn't get quite the respect of the fans when he played like that. But later on in retirement, he was the greatest thing since sliced bread,
Usually how it happens in New York.
look at Phil Simms' career as well. If you wanted to keep your football at that point, he was a guy who was benched, unbenched, and all that kind of stuff. And the Giants fans obviously rode that roller coaster along as well. But now that he's retired, again, they look at him, they go, okay, here's a guy who won us the Super Bowl,
Who went to Disneyland,
the ring, got to Disneyland. Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, it's always that way. Ronald says, unless the Giants trade the number 1 pick for the number 2 pick, take Ward a 2nd and 3rd pick. We actually talked about that exact scenario on our last episode. So if you go back to our videos, if you're on YouTube, I see the little logo there. When we're done with this show, stay on for this show. But once we're done, you can go to, we did a mock draft with a trade down scenario, exactly that. We traded down with the Raiders. So the Raiders can get Shedeur Sanders. And we got a 2nd, 2 thirds, and next year's 2nd, if I remember correctly, in that trade. So it really set us up nicely for the future, that's for sure. Bradley says, if he gets drafted by us, put a rocket on him and he wins. Like I said, New York market will love him. I think it's safe to say that New York market, like any team that wins at all right now. Right, Rob? Man, we're so used to losing that.
Listen, give us 5 wins at this point. You're going to be loved.
We're going to throw a ticker tape parade if you win the division at this point.
Or become second in it because, my God, we're tired of being bottom of the barrel.
And like I said, it's not just the Giants, the Jets too. Like New York, the football is just absolutely pathetic the last couple of years. It's really bad. Like it's bad.
Yeah.
And then Bradley also says, plus Giants, I believe will making history by drafting a black quarterback. I believe that's accurate. I'm pretty sure it would be, because I remember when Geno Smith was the starter in that one game that we don't want to think about because they benched Eli for him, that he was the first black quarterback to ever start for the Giants. And I know a lot of people have this idea that the Giants would not draft a black quarterback. So, as far as I'm concerned, I couldn't give a damn what color his skin is, purple, blue, whatever. I mean,
you throw the ball down to that great.
Yeah, and you don't embarrass the organization, I'll have you. Unfortunately, there are, like I said, a lot of people that think the Giants are a little anti-black quarterback. We'll put it that way, to put it nicely. But I don't know. I don't want to say something like that on people I don't know. I'd like to hope that the team I root for wouldn't have any racism in them whatsoever. But I'm not going to
find out this draft.
People, you are. I mean, well, if they trade down and go get that kid Garrett from LSU, it's like no, it's there. They got Nussmeier. This really is true. It'd be bad. I also think those fans would revolt.
Jalen Cunningham over here to report for the quarterback position.
You see a lot. I'm telling you, if they do that, hypothetically, there'd be a lot of people flipping out. A lot of people. And I think the only way they can even get around that is by drafting Travis Hunter, which we'll talk about in a little bit here, and getting a quarterback later on. But we couldn't pass on the best player in the draft. They've spin it that way, But yeah, like I said, the rumor's always been there. And like I said, you can kind of see why the rumor's there, because there has been a lack of black quarterbacks in the Giants. Is it coincidence? Is it an issue? I don't know. I hope not. Dorothy says Cam Ward or bust. Yeah, like I said, I like Cam Ward myself. I do. But I'm okay with either one. I honestly feel like it's hard for me to sit there and when I'm not in the conversations they're having and make a pick on either one of those guys as the guy we have to have. That being said, Cam Ward's my guy for now. I may change. I want to see more interviews with Shedeur Sanders. That's where I wanted to differ. And I honestly, I don't even know if they're going to be at the any of the Senior Bowls or anything like that. But I was actually thinking about going to the Senior Bowl this year just for that reason. But because Senior Bowl will actually let podcasts go and TikTok to people and stuff like that and do interviews with the players and all. But unfortunately, I definitely cannot get the time off of work. So it is what it is. Maybe next year. Chris says, damn shame. Boyle looks more like an NFL quarterback than these last 3 we had under center. You know what? It's a small sample size too.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah.
We got to include that part of it. Small sample size against a team that really wasn't that good. So,
I mean, DJ had some serviceable games this year. Not many.
But I'm saying, like, the Ravens'
Yeah.
defense is not a good defense. It's not.
No,
And
not what it was.
the Ravens were also, like, basically playing prevent, because you think the Ravens were worried about us beating them? Because look at the final score.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
the
you
Ravens
lose
weren't
that,
concerned. After about the first quarter, they knew they had it.
it was close for the first half, and then we
I
just
know.
never.
Yeah.
It just was. Yeah, it was over with.
Jordan says Cunningham not being in the Hall is a travesty. I gotta say, I've never looked into comparing the stats, so I don't want to have an opinion on that one there. When I look at is a player Hall of Fame worthy, what I like to do is I don't like to compare what their numbers were overall. I like to compare what their numbers were compared to the people of that generation. That to me is the fair way of doing it. Like, were you the best of your generation, basically, or in that best of category?
Yeah, because you can't. We've talked about this a few times. You can't compare Phil Simms or Dan Marino to how the players are playing the position now, because it's a different position. Yes, they're both quarterbacks, but it's like, yeah, just the play in general is different.
Yeah, and it's also, I think he had some of his better years, obviously, towards the end of his career with the Vikings. People kind of remember him for that part, but he wasn't necessarily that guy when he was in Philadelphia. But he's got a good winning percentage, that's for sure. I'm looking at his record as a quarterback, 82, 52, and 1.
Yeah,
That's definitely not bad. His 17 game average, 56.6 completion percentage. Keep in mind that the percentages back then were less. You got a let's see here, 3,165 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. So that's definitely not too bad. But he also only had 4 Pro Bowls, so I'm not sure how much to look at that. Let's see, where's his rushing? Because that's the big one. Just under 5,000 yards rushing for his career. I mean, I think that's part of people keep talking about him as being a potential guy to go in the Hall of Fame, because he's also a guy that changed the sport to a degree. Like, he was the rushing quarterback. He had 942 rushing yards in 1990 with the Eagles, and I believe that probably stood until Michael Vick played.
Yeah,
unless he was like a full-timer quarterback, I believe that was the record back then. He was second in MVP voting that year. Like I said, I'd have to look up and again compare him to his people of his generation there. Like, we're talking at that point, you're talking late 80s and the 90s. You're comparing him to, because kind of like a mix of generations he played in too. Like, you'd have to kind of compare him to like the Brett Favres, along with the Joe Montanas, the Dan Marinos, the John Elways. Like those kind of guys. And I'm not sure if that's where it is. But again, the fact that he was like the first big running quarterback kind of guy, that does, I think, lead some credence to it. But he also doesn't have a ring because he was an Eagle. Yeah. Throw that piss off the Eagle fans. Let's see. Bradley says, do you guys think Dable is sort of pissed about the signs above the stadium? Joe has to be biting his nails at this point, LOL. I think he was pissed. Yeah, I think he was definitely pissed. There's a about this at the press conferences that first week against the Saints when he was asked about it. He was pissed.
Yeah, it's pretty disrespectful to do that, especially as your team's playing, that you're telling them to wrap it up, like fire everyone. Like, it's just dumps to fire. Yeah, that's Dable's product that he put out to the field. That's his plays. That's where it's getting trashed.
Well, that's the offensive play calling has just been absolutely horrendous. That's for damn sure. So, yeah, we've talked about it before. I think we were one of the first shows to actually call for Shane and Dable both to be fired, and I stand by that. No matter what the Giants do, let them
definitely
call me.
Up there.
They don't have my number.
Hey, here's my number. Call me, maybe.
Oh gosh. Bradley said, I haven't looked at the standings yet. Would a win against the Falcons ruin number 2 going to 3? And again, talking about obviously the draft selections here. It very well could, because the biggest problem you run into right now is the Giants have a extremely high strength of schedule, which weird because it actually hurts the way they do it. Let's see. Let me go to Tankathon and see what they say. All right, so the Giants right now have, let's say hypothetically, the Giants were 3-12 instead of being 3-11 instead of being 2-12. The Giants would go from the second overall pick to the 7th overall pick. So yeah, Giants winning this would not be good. Losing all 3 games is extremely important for draft status, and that happens all the time. Look at the Texans. Like, was it 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago when they had the Stroud and Bryce Young, won that draft. The year before, they won their last game, and that's what gave them the 2nd overall pick. They would have been able to pick whoever they wanted. They would have gotten the pick the Bears had. The Bears traded away, to the Panthers, but they won that game, and that kind of killed it for them. Let's see here. Deb says, LT has a reputation of having changed the way linebacker position was played. Is there a quarterback that comes to mind who changed the way that position is played? Listen, here's part of the problem I run into. If you want to look at guys who changed in my, timeline that I've, been old enough to appreciate and, watching, quarterback play, we're talking about where I was old enough to really enjoy it we're talking 90s and onward there at that point. Guys that I saw that to me changed the way this game was played is obviously Montana, Marino, Favre, those kind of guys, and they're all in the Hall of Fame. So you can go even earlier from the research. Again, the research I've done of watching games afterwards. Guys like Wyatt Tittle, Dan Fouts comes to mind at that point there. Fran Tarkenton, and not just saying 2 or 3 being Giants for the hell of it. They legit were, guys of that era that were just different, and I think Randall Cunningham, because I'm assuming that's why that came up, Deb. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Randall Cunningham, I guess if you could throw that guy into that mix. You really could, because he played the game differently than quarterbacks just did back then. So I think I'm kind of curious to see, because I'll probably look this up later on. We'll probably do a segment on it, because I'm not an Eagles fan, obviously. If you guys want us to do a segment, let us know in the comments, and I'm happy to put it up if we do. But yeah, like I said, I have to look at it and compare what he did to the rest at that point there. But the numbers, at least from looking at them real quick, definitely they're there. Definitely there. Dorothy says 3,500 passing yards and 942 yards rushing in 1990. 1990, because that's just, I get it. Cunningham was the LT of quarterbacks. If I want to go that far, to the LT of quarterbacks, but yeah, he was definitely, like I said, a very good quarterback at the least. Deb says, that's what I was thinking, Dorothy. And then Bradley says, it's just worrying me because we need to tank, but look what happened last year. Daniels was our listen, I wouldn't worry about it, honestly. I don't think there's much of a chance for us to win. I really don't. But if we do, we do. We'll figure it out. There's no way the Giants are going to go into this next offseason, guys, without a plan at quarterback. We've been trying to hand the job to DJ the last couple of years. Those days are over, because DJ's over. He's not there anymore. You have to talk about hurting his ego or whatever they were worried about by keeping him as the only quarterback that has any starting experience there, Bradley says, plus it doesn't help they're starting a rookie QB. Listen, Michael Penix, and we'll see if I'm right or wrong. I think Michael Penix is going to be legit. I really do. I think you're going to see him throwing the ball over the place. I think you're going to see this team having fun. because that's what he is too as well. The guy's one of the guys that he loves playing football. He has fun with it, and probably because he had so many injuries and came close to losing it how many times does he appreciate it like that and realize that it could end at any moment. But like I said, I think you're to see a really good game out of Michael Penix. Dorothy says, I hate the Eagles. Yep, same here. Ronald says, Texans are so good because the Browns gave them 3 first-round, 2 second-round, and 1 third-round pick for Watson. That definitely helps. That's for sure. It definitely does. But I'll tell you this. If you gave Gettleman or Joe Schoen, at least prior to this year's Joe Schoen, those kind of picks, they'd find a way to mess it up. Look, we had the 5th and 7th overall pick. Did that go well for us? Not very much. So, all right, let's get into the rest of the topics here, but keep the comments coming. We'll go hit back to them later on there. Get about Jim Harbaugh almost went to the Giants. And this was a story that I had forgotten about basically until I saw it in an article being revisited that this was a thing that almost happened. The Giants almost had Harbaugh as a head coach. I remember hearing about it back when they were interviewing GMs a couple of years ago when we got Shane. Listen, Shane was the guy that was considered the top
pick.
GM picks available. That it was kind of a get for us to get Shane and David. I know it doesn't sound like that now, but that's what it seemed like. And I also don't want to know why I just heard a zipper, Rob.
Oh.
Sure.
I'm not wearing a fly. Jokes to you. I'm full Anchorman right now.
But anyway, Ian O'Connor had said,
I gotta get this over here.
Oh gosh. Ian O'Connor said at X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it. He said the Giants loved Adam Peters as a GM candidate, but loved Joe Schoen just a bit more. They thought John Harbaugh's guy in Baltimore, Joe Horitz, was a bit nervous in his interview, but he was going to hire Jim Harbaugh as Giants head coach. What could have been?
A lot.
Yeah, and it made me think when I saw that, because listen, we know obviously what happened with Joe Schoen. The Giants have been going, like I said, they had a great season that first season, really surprised us, and then slowly but surely, it's like we're coming down the roller coaster, but in slow motion, and having to endure every single foot drop to that point along the way. And if you look at the guys they just talked about, the other guys we were looking at, Peters was obviously John Lynch's assistant with the Niners. He went on to become the Commanders GM this past offseason. And the team's definitely had some early success. They're 9-5 right now. We would give our left testicle to be 9-5 right now, to be honest.
Yep.
Horitz was the Ravens director of pro personnel. He's now the GM for the Chargers, who did hire Jim Harbaugh. And that team is now 8-6. Yeah.
Being a laughing stock last year.
Yeah.
Past couple of years.
Yeah. Well, that's the coach, but that's why they got Harbaugh. I mean, again, none of us were upset when we hired Joe Schoen. I'm not trying to make revisionist history here. Let me be very frank. None of us were upset.
No.
And if anybody claims to be, they're probably lying. I'm sorry. It was a big rejoicement we got him. It was a great get.
Yeah.
Joe Schoen was a solid pick at the time, at least. Brian Dable, there were some people who weren't as excited about that one. I know we had talked about in the beginning. There was definitely some pause because he hadn't succeeded anywhere but Baltimore. But Dable was supposed to be the surefire hit, but look back now, and it's not difficult to go, what could have been?
Well, yeah, like I said, it revives this history. Like, we look at it, and like you said, Shane was like the guy to get. He was like your number one draft pick, if you will, and we got him. Like, we got the number one overall pick, and then we picked up his guru, if you will, who's supposed to correct his offense, which our offense was lackluster. We look at season 1, we're like, oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm going down, was a free fall terror, whatever it's called, in Six Flags, and my seatbelt just went out.
Oh no, the seatbelt. Listen, I can't even talk about Six Flags like that, because whenever I go to Six Flags, I got nervous the last time because of my height. Apparently, I'm too tall to ride the rides.
Oh.
Yes.
Quick squat down.
Yeah, I'm literally too tall to ride the ride. So I went on Medusa, and my legs were a little too low, and it was freaking me out. And I went another one. I can't remember which one I went on. I had to I felt like I had to duck my head because it was getting that close.
Ooh.
Yeah, and they say you're not supposed to, I think it's over 6'4", 6'5", or 6'6", somewhere in that range. You're supposed to not go, and I'm 6'7", so I'm just over. So I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize there was a strict one until all of a sudden. So somebody brought out that stick that you bring out when you check to see if a kid's is too short to ride the ride. Apparently, there's a stick that comes out on top of it too to verify the person's too tall. So I got told I couldn't go on one of the rides. No.
Was it King in the car? They just tired that.
I'll take my shoes off.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll change my diaper.
But anyway, like I said, it's not difficult to go back and go what could have been, because having Jim Harbaugh as the coach would definitely be, I think, an upgrade of what we have at Dable right now. And then you go ahead with the fact that the Chargers are doing well, the Commanders are doing well. That's the two guys we could have had. So, just weird to look back on, because we thought we had the right choice, and it's quite obvious that history has shown us we made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
So, all righty, guys. We have one more topic here for you guys. And this one, I think you're going to get most people will answer this question, probably no. But I think you will get a 10, 15% of the fan base probably saying, yes, we should do this. And what I'm asking is, should we draft Travis Hunter? Everybody talks about the quarterbacks. The best player in this draft, if you talk to most people that have been following the draft process there already, in the early goings, will tell you that Travis Hunter is the best player, not just the best non-quarterback, but the best player in this draft. And, listen, he plays two positions, first off. So you can fill two holes at once. But second off, he's an improvement on both those positions for us. So I can see why people would say that. And, if they, look at what they got there, we could use a top corner. Let's be honest, Deontay Banks is not a top corner. We could use another weapon on offense. Darius Slayton might be gone at the end of the season. Wan'Dale Robinson got a case of the oopsies and the dropsies.
Yeah. Oops.
So you could sit there and say that. So here's for those, because obviously the guy's got a lot of hype on him, but I don't think people talking about what he's done, Hunter. So 12 games, 92 catches, 1,152 yards, 14 touchdowns. That's a lot of damn touchdowns. Think about that for a moment. 92 catches, 14 touchdowns. That's like a 16, 17% of his catches or touchdowns. That's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on defense, 32 tackles, 4 interceptions, 11 passes deflected, and a tackle for loss. He is the Heisman Trophy winner, meaning that they're saying he is the best player on the football field in college. He is the AP Player of the Year award winner. He is the Walter Camp Player of the Year award winner. He is the Chuck Bednarik Award for Defensive Player of the Year. He is the Ronnie Lott Trophy winner for Defensive Impact Player of the Year. Now, the impact thing is a whole acronym for them. It's not impact like he made an impact on the field. That's actually one that goes to people that are make an impact on the field, but also off the field. Impact on there is capitalized. It means integrity, maturity, performance, academics, community, and tenacity, which they really were stretching trying to make that go. Let's be honest here. We need a T. We need a T. What do we do?
Testicular fortitude.
Testicles.
Titties.
Tentacles. Damn it, we need a T word that makes sense here.
Name a body part that begins with the letter T.
Yeah. And like I said, it's just like so I just feel like they totally stretched for that one. But this is what kind of started my questioning in this is Bleacher Report's Matt Holder said the Giants are expected to draft a quarterback this year, but as has been widely discussed, this year's class lacks some top lacks some talent at the position. It's not out of the question for the organization to look outside of the first round for a signal caller, and the Heisman Trophy finalist is an interesting option. So what he's basically saying is, take Travis Hunter, and then go ahead and get later on a quarterback that you think you can develop into a starter. Now, in his example he gave, he said Dylan Gabriel, the guy who's on his third team now in college, now currently playing in Oregon, was also a Heisman Trophy finalist as well, a guy that I think is probably going to be a third-round pick, at least as of right now, and a guy that'll probably get a shot at some point in his career, but is a little limited to what he can do. I'll tell you, I don't agree with that whatsoever. Go get the goddamn quarterback, personally. Unless you don't like them. Unless you really don't like those two.
Yeah, I was about to say. But if it's Dable and Shane staying there, I could see this move because it's also kind of like one of those things. We listen, you had to take the best player in the draft. We had to take what was there later in the rounds. You go that way. You're a brand new coach and GM. You're starting fresh. You need to take a quarterback hands down. Yep. I get the idea. You take a bridge quarterback. It's way more expensive than picking up a corner.
Yeah.
A veteran corner in the league.
Plus, you're not going to get a good, you get a bridge quarterback. It's not going to be a good quarterback. Like the bridge is going to be available this year. Like a guy like what? Like, are you going to be Kirk Cousins? The guy that just got benched?
With a fat salary that you're going to have to trade for and pay. Well, actually, I'm still going to have to pay, but you're still going to go draft capital for that guy.
Yeah, like I said, I don't like it at all. Again, the only way I'd be okay with this not taking Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is if, and I'm going to say whoever, because who knows, it's Shane or somebody else. If whoever got in control of our draft board just doesn't like those two. Like, you have to go with your gut. We've said it before the show plenty of times. The only thing worse than than not taking a quarterback is reaching for a quarterback. 100%. Because you keep building up the team around win of the year to get the quarterback you want, or get somebody else who might be just as good as a bridge quarterback, and that's a better move to do than to reach and get a guy who's going to be a flop and set your franchise back a couple of years. Yeah. But I think either one of those two is better than a bridge quarterback. I'm not sure either one of them is elite yet, but I think either one of them is better than a bridge quarterback. So I would take the quarterback personally. That's what I would do. But again, it's easy for me to say that when I'm not the one having to make that call and have my job on the line. Easy for me to say that when I'm not in the room talking to these individuals and finding out who they are as people. So
yeah.
Plus, I don't know. Maybe it's just. I feel like the sports in general, and I'm not just talking football, all sports do this. I feel like it's very much like, oh, this worked, let's do the same exact thing. And what I mean by that in this conversation is, what is the chances that Travis Hunter is a good corner and a good receiver in this league? Like, I feel like this is Ohtani syndrome, basically. Like, they see Ohtani in baseball, who's been a good pitcher and a good hitter. Like, oh, we can get a two-way player now. This is our Ohtani. Like, the chances of him succeeding at both positions in the NFL are not. No, let's be honest.
No, but there's a good shot he's going to succeed at one of them, and at least you had a good pick at one of them, unless he gets hurt.
But is it just me, or does that make it a little more difficult even? Because you're like, okay, well, which one is he going to be good at? I need a receiver. I don't need a corner, or I need a corner. I don't need a receiver. And obviously, I'm saying not the Giants. The Giants need everything they get their hands on, but it's like, if another team was there, like let's say the Jaguars, for example, let's say they want a corner. What if they don't want him because they're not sure if he's going to work at a corner? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of questions with him. And by all accounts, he's a freaking awesome guy. So I really hope that he does well wherever he goes. It's not the Eagles or Cowboys, but he's, really seems like an awesome kid. And the only thing you hear bad at him right now is, the fact that he's apparently a doormat for his girlfriend, people think, or fiance. I think they're engaged. Because an article came out this week that she was saying how he'll literally drive her to parties and wait in his car for a few hours for her while she parties.
Oh.
Listen, I'm not judging. That's not my relationship. I have no reason to judge that.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Maybe
not my cup of tea.
Trying to stay out of the party because he's trying to stay out of trouble and out of the headlines.
Could be, but he's still at the party.
He's not, though. He's not. He's in the car outside the party.
That's usually where things go down. It's about to go down.
It happens after 2 a.m. No.
Yeah.
But it's like, I
definitely don't give the gremlins water.
I'm not going to judge in a situation I'm not there for. That's not fair. You know, like if she likes the party and he wants to give her the ride and he knows that he trusts her to go in there and not have anything happen, then great for them.
Yeah. I mean, they might have the understanding
right now for that. That was ridiculous. Leave
Yeah.
him alone.
People might have the understanding, like, hey, listen, like, this is my time to shine. Like, I need to stay focused. I need to stay with it. Like, if you want to go in the party, like, I'll stay outside as you have fun. I trust you.
Yep.
But once I get drafted, wasted, you're driving me.
Oh my gosh.
Just saying.
All righty. Let's go ahead and go through the rest of the comments here real quick before we head on out for the night here. So let's see here. There we go. Bradley says, now that you said that, I agree. Whether we go third in the draft, that's what we go. That's what free agents for. LOL, maybe Cousins, emergency choice. Listen, if we do go past the first 2 picks, then yeah, you're going to take a bridge quarterback probably and try to develop another kid like Milrow or Gabriel, like they suggested. We said a moment ago with that Matt Holder had suggested there, but that's what you're gonna do, and not nearly as good an option as 1 or 2. So let's hopefully that we just don't lose, we don't win, and we keep losing, which I hate saying. It hurts me to say that. I said it out loud just now and it hurt. But hope we just keep losing and we just don't have to worry about that problem. We get pick 1 or pick 2. The biggest thing we got to worry about right now is the Jaguars not being the Jaguars and beating the Raiders. Let the Raiders win, God damn it. It's a game in Las Vegas and everything. Let their fans get a win. Their fans are probably just like ours. Like, we want to lose.
At this point, like, if you got 2 wins at this point, you get 3 points. Yeah. If you're under 5 wins, just lose out. Get the best draft pick.
Exactly. Solving the race problem says everything that could have went wrong this season went wrong. I expect Penix to have a great game. LOL. Yeah, he's gonna have a great game. I really think so.
Hope he doesn't mess up his ACL.
Oh gosh, don't even say that. Bradley says, I hate to brag, but I actually enjoy hearing you guys talk Giants football. Your podcast is much more relaxing than Giants 366 and their complete nonsense. Bradley, much appreciated. As far as Giants 366, my mama always said, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. So next topic. Dorothy says, none of us knew we could have had Jim Harbaugh. We all would have signed up for that if we had known. That was reported at the time. I remember those reports coming out that if we had got the guy from Baltimore, that he wanted to hire Jim Harbaugh as his head coach. Now, good for Harbaugh that it didn't happen, though, because he would have left Michigan, never gotten a championship there.
Yeah.
He also never would have got a scandal that hurt Michigan for a few years, but
Touché.
Just saying. Dorothy says, if Cam Ward is gone, Hunter should be the pick. However, Dable would play him on defense and offense depending on where his Menzies has him feeling. Oh my gosh. Listen, hopefully Dable is not making that call next year. I'll leave it at that. Deb says, so who would throw to Hunter? Lots of Heisman Trophy winners who did not pan out. Remember Ron Dane? I'll give you another one. Charlie Ward. He played New York for the Knicks. Just saying. But yeah, listen, I don't disagree with you there. I think the big thing is if you think these guys are not legit. Because if you have the chance to get, let's say this, and again, hindsight's 20/20 always. We said it a couple of times this show, but it's really true. Let's say, for example, that you could look in the future, and you know that Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders will both not pan out, but Travis Hunter would. You would still want Hunter in that case.
Yeah.
So that's what it boils down to. You have to be confident that whoever you select a quarterback is going to make it as a quarterback, or else you just wasted a pick that could be very well like the greatest Giants draft pick we ever had.
Yeah, and 4 years of our time.
Well, I mean, the last time we had a second overall pick was Saquon.
Yeah.
So and that last time before that was LT. I don't think we've ever had a first overall pick, to the best of my knowledge.
No.
So,
From what I heard, no.
Yeah, so I'm saying we could very well have the best draft pick status we've ever had as an organization. So yeah, you have to make it hit. As Gettleman said that year, you need a gold letter jacket guy, a gold jacket guy. You want to get a guy who's Canton. I mean, get him all you want, and he deserves all the knocking. Don't get me wrong. You can make the case that Saquon was a gold jacket guy. We'll see how his career goes, but he's on pace right now to potentially get there. Ronald says, no, you have a ton of cap space. Take a QB and get a good CB in free agency. 100% we're with you. 100%. Let's see. Dorothy says 1, Travis Hunter, 2, Walter Nolan, 3, Denzel Burke, 4, Dylan Gabriel or Jax Dart. It's a pretty good haul.
And 5 golden rings.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it all depends on what you think of those quarterbacks, and that's what it boils down to. And I know you're big on, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're big on Cam, but not on Shedeur Sanders. So you're kind of going that mindset of, okay, if Cam Ward is gone first overall, we have number 2. This is what you would do. It sounds like you're saying. So listen, it all depends on what you think of people, and that's the beauty of this whole thing. Everybody has opinions, and no one is ever 100% right on draft opinions.
Yeah,
and we have a pretty good track record. I feel like you and I, we really do, and not to tune our own horn, but we do have a pretty good record there. But we've been wrong too. We didn't like Bo Nix coming out. Bo Nix has done pretty good. I wouldn't say great, but he's done better than I expected. That's for damn sure. So, and then Ronald says Raiders are favorites by 1.5 points. Yes, I'm with you there. Speaking of picks, before we go, we almost forgot to go over our Thursday night picks here real quick. We will, of course, do our regular pick show tomorrow night, guys. Now, for that one, you're going to get a full-on dose of this guy right here, himself. So if you're a fan of Rob, you're going to get a 100% dose of Rob. That's a full serving, which is exactly what the American Dental Association said you should have.
If you really like it, there's a fans only too.
Now you know that you don't go to OnlyFans at all. You said fans only.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of fans around me.
Okay. There we go. Yeah. No copyright infringement. But yeah, again, we'll have that for you guys there. Rob will go over with all the picks of all the games coming up this weekend. My picks will be in before he starts already, so you don't have to worry. You'll still have all the opinions, even though he'll just mock my opinions the whole time. I know better. So,
pretty much. It's like this happened before.
Exactly. And then Thursday night football, we're going to start off with, obviously, with the Broncos at the Chargers. The Chargers are 2.5 point favorites, and the over-under is 42. So, Rob, you won last week. Well, you get to go first because of that.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be an exciting football game. It's a divisional matchup. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be.
Actually, I actually like the matchup. Amazon finally won one.
I think it's Well, they've done a lot better this year. Yeah. I have to say, I give them kudos. They must have complained to Roger Goodell because
Bezos buy the NFL and fire Goodell.
Yeah, just give me some good fun games. I do think it's going to be a very low scoring game. I think the defenses are both going to step up in this game. I think they're going to be able to shut down both of these quarterbacks, and it's going to be just a slow pace running game. I think Chargers are going to pull it out. So I think they win, and 2.5 points. You got to win by 3. That's okay with me. Chargers all day.
Yep. We got over under. What you're staying under?
Oh, I said under.
Okay, I was making sure I heard you right. So so you and I got literally the same exact pick. And guys, what it boils down to is I have a lot more faith in the Chargers. They've been a little more consistent this year, whereas the Broncos have been a little bit up and down there. Now, interesting stat for this is the last 3 matchups for these guys, these division rivals, they've averaged only 31.7 total points total points. Very, very low scoring. Now, keep in mind, though, that before this year, there was no Jim Harbaugh. There was no, there was no Bo Nix. There are differences every single year. So, definitely a little different of a team there. But I'm with you. Chargers, and under. All righty, guys. And then we do have one last comment. Dorothy says 100% of people knew Johnny Manziel was a mistake. Even Johnny Manziel knew Johnny Manziel was a mistake.
Yeah. He said, how much did you pay me?
Yeah. He just didn't put in the work, and he even said it later on. He's one of those guys that definitely is a guy that, and I've heard he does this, and I hope he really does, goes around and talks to the kids in the draft and says, blank, blank, don't be me. Because he did have a lot of talent, he had a lot of potential, and just threw it all away. And not a bad guy for all record when I hear people that played with him and everything too. Just a guy that unfortunately had like putting the work in.
Smell like vodka in the morning.
That too. What I hear.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Alleged. Yep. Alleged. So anyway, guys, we'll see you guys. Well, Rob will see, I should say, tomorrow night. I'll be on the road again.
People commenting. Trying to finish picks.
No, honestly, I'll probably be driving at that point still. So we'll see. It depends on what time I get there. But there is probably no chance that I'll be there in time for the show. But if I am, I might pop on towards the end or whatever, depending on the time we get there. But I'd really highly doubt it. So, but the big thing is that I will be there at the game on Sunday. So again, guys, if anybody else is going to be in the Atlanta area and going to the game, if you're watching a video, you know what I look like. If you're listening on audio, I'm the big, tall, goofy bastard with the 2 giant goofball hat on. So
imagine a white ogre that's stretched out. I love it. Kidding.
Wow.
That was harsh.
Oh my gosh.
What is your donkey?
Donkey. So anyway, guys, we'll see you guys all next episode there. Appreciate y'all for watching. As always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. And of course, as always, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms. That is Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all the big ones there. If you guys haven't already, do me a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Specifically, and I don't like to ask for specific, but I'm gonna in this case here, specifically on YouTube. We're on a quest here right now to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube there, and we are getting ever so close. To be honest, I think after this game we'll probably be there. But help us out there if you can, because that is a big thing for getting paid on YouTube. So that way we can take more of Google's money, because they have plenty of money. They don't need any more. We're going to help. We're going to help. And I can tell you this, we've already had 2 people subscribe while we've been on this show. So whoever you 2 are, thank you very much. We're now at 8:59. We need 141 to go. We're getting there. Again, appreciate you guys for listening, watching as always. And as always, Giant fans, go Giants!
Thanks for listening to 2 Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.